So, Julia, you are here acting as a mouthpiece for the regime that currently governs this country.
Oh, do shut up, Charlie. You're embarrassing yourself,
what you're saying is exactly the same thing I've been hearing for my...
A Restore Britain spokesman went on air claiming his party's olive branch to Nigel Farage was genuine, 5 principles, all above board. But within minutes, the conversation revealed something far more uncomfortable, a fixation on demographic security that the host wasn't willing to let slide. Watch how quickly this unravels.
Hello, Julia. Good to be with you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Can I ask you, this so-called olive branch offered in this video a couple of days ago by your leader, Rupert, Lowe, to Nigel Farage in a 12-minute public video posted online, was it actually a genuine bid to try and sort of form a rapprochement, or, as many people are saying, was it rather poisoned? And if he'd really wanted to basically try and do a deal, he'd have done this behind the scenes privately?
It was absolutely a genuine offer, Julia, and the reason that we did it in public in the way that we did was because we felt the need for transparency in these negotiations, because, to be frank, there is bad blood between the two parties involved, and we felt that it was best for both our own members, Reform members, and indeed the general public to see these negotiations play out in full in public, because the 5 principles that we have offered Reform, the 5 principles around which we believe the patriotic parties of the right in Britain should be organised, are the bare minimum for restoring Britain. And I noticed, by the way, that yourself and others in the mainstream media have actually routinely failed to mention all 5 of our policy.
I must have mentioned them about 5 times on air yesterday.
Well, many of your colleagues have routinely failed to mention one of the most important ones, I would say the most important one, which is demographic security for the white British people. We're going to become a minority in this country within the next 40 years on present demographic trends. In 2024, only 54% of live births were to white British mothers. This is an existential threat to our nation, and Reform have always denied this.
Why? Why? No. Let me give you a bit more detail around why I'm saying why. I think an awful lot of people in this country, of all skin colours, share a concern about the major demographic changes in this country in terms of people coming from other countries, not speaking our language, not sharing our values of adherence to the law, and integrating, etc., etc. However, I don't think that's got anything to do with anyone's skin colour. So why is that a threat to our country?
White British is a census classification used by the
ONS. I'm not disputing that.
Yes, so I'm not talking about skin colour, I'm talking about a census classification that includes...
You are talking about
English,
skin colour.
Scottish,
white.
Welsh and
the word
Irish.
White. It's a bit of a clue there.
Yes, well, I mean, it's a descriptive category used by the ONS.
There is an ethnicity that is, English, white, British, white. Yes, I get that. And, going back many centuries, we are and have been always, until about 20 years ago, almost entirely a white nation. I get that. Why is there being fewer births to white British as opposed to, say, black British or brown British people? Why is that a threat to our country?
Well, I think you've just answered that yourself, Julia, and that is that this is a very recent change in our nation's demographics, and an unwelcome change. It is a change that nobody ever voted for. In fact, since modern mass immigration began with the passing of the British Nationality Act in 1948, the British public have routinely voted against mass immigration, particularly from the Third World and former colonies.
But you're talking about immigration.
That's because these are people that are coming from vastly different cultures, vastly different parts of the world, with whom we have very little shared history.
I and many others,
and therefore,
Charlie, I and many others share those concerns, but you are conflating immigration and white. Yes, I realise that ethnically British people have been white, so they have been. However, there are an awful lot of people who we will live and work alongside, and children go to school alongside, who are not just British, as in they've got a British passport. Their parents were born here. They were born here. They know no other country. They consider themselves completely British. They are British. My grandparents on one side came from Ireland. I consider myself, my father was born here, my mother was born here, I was born here. I consider myself British. People with exactly the same credentials, but maybe their family came from the Caribbean or came from India, but they have lived here 2 or 3 generations. They shared language, values, beliefs, integrated, assimilated generations ago. Why is they having babies? Why is that a threat to this country?
So, Julia, you are here acting as a mouthpiece for the regime that currently governs this country.
Do shut up, Charlie. You're embarrassing yourself.
What you're saying is exactly
I'm
the same
asking
thing
you
I've been hearing for my
questions.
entire life, from primary school to secondary school to university, about what it means to be British, and that is that it is about shared values. This
Why
project
do you
has
keep
failed. It
mentioning
doesn't
skin
work.
colour then?
As I've already said, and as you have acknowledged, white British is a census category used by the government to describe the English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish. In other words, the native peoples of the British Isles.
Native,
Now,
yes, I accept the word, I accept that, but why? But just, you know perfectly well, and with all due respect, I don't think you're as clever as you think you are, that you are constantly conflating the issue of immigration. I've just said to you, there is an issue with immigration and people who are not integrated, but I don't see what that's got to do with skin colour.
What's your definition of integration, Julia?
People, I think I've already said it 2 or 3 times, but people who speak English fluently, who are completely sharing values, belief in the law, equality under the law for women, gay people, I would suggest would be a key value now for the vast majority of Brits. You can marry who you want, you can worship who you want, you don't shut down to it. I would consider queuing, being nice, fairness. I would consider a lot of those to be British values and being integrated.
So if all of the white British people currently in Britain were replaced by Pakistanis and Somalians, all of whom believed in queuing, would Britain be the same as it is now, or would it be different?
This is
the key question, Julia.
No, it's not the key question. You're making a glib point. You're the one who keeps saying it's about immigration, and then you keep talking about skin colour.
Because, Julia, the question is, are we a people or aren't we? And if we are, then the changing demographics do have a material effect on the future of the country.
Changing demographics do.
I don't want my children to grow up in some effing Lebanon, which is the situation we are rapidly hurtling towards with the massive demographic change that we're experiencing in this country. So, if we are to restore Britain and turn it into a country that is worth living in for young people and old people, and all British people, then restoring Britain's demographic security and recognising that the changing demographics is at the root of so much of what is wrong with our country today is absolutely essential. And as you have just demonstrated, yourself, others in the mainstream media, and indeed many of those in Reform of the Conservative Party are not prepared to have this conversation because
I'm perfectly prepared to. I'm not trying to shut down the conversation. I just thought I was going to have a conversation with you about restore and reform. We come back on again another time when we've got more time, when we will debate that in more detail. When we have got more time, we'll make sure we've got it the decent time. But I wanted to ask you. We've got to one question about the subject I wanted to talk to you about, which was this a genuine offer? You said this was a genuine offer. You talked about 5 principles. The trouble is, a referendum on capital punishment isn't a principle. A refusal to allow former Tory cabinet ministers or ministers who've defected to reform into government isn't a principle. You're confusing policy with principle. What are the key principles that divide reform and restore as opposed to policy? And why did your leader, Rupert Lowe, I know he's had some criticism of you very recently about some of your views, probably some of those expressed just now. But why did he put in these 5, you call them principles, noted them on, why did he put in one, including you can't have any of your Tory defectors in cabinet? Why did he put that in when you knew perfectly well that was not something Nigel Farage could ever agree to?
Well, the label that we applied to that one was restoring faith in politics, which I would say is a principle. It's a desirable principle.
Policy.
But so many people have lost faith in our system. So many people have checked out. There's a reason that nobody votes anymore, and that's because they feel like voting doesn't make a difference.
People do vote.
In the recent Manchester mayoral by-election,
by-elections for mayoralties have always been very, very low.
Okay, so in 2024, 60% of the public voting is, you think that's okay, do you? I mean, in my view, this is a tragedy that people have lost faith in our system because we have one of the most bulletproof systems in the world that has been subverted, yes, in recent decades by malign actors like Tony Blair, but actually the system of parliamentary democracy that we invented is the best in the world. And so restoring faith in that system is essential, and rewarding those who have sold us out in the past when given the opportunity to make real change.
Even people like Robert Jenrick
is an error.
Even people like Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman who spoke out on these issues while in the Conservative Party.
Well, Robert Jenrick did so when it was politically convenient. He is on the record as defending his decision to, under the cover of night, bring in tens of thousands of Afghans into the country, and has celebrated that fact. And so this is not a man that I think should be rewarded with a second opportunity to mislead and ultimately betray the British public.
What do you think the odds are there will be any sort of rapprochement? Because it's not between the two parties, is it, restore and reform? Fundamentally, this is actually about 2 massive male egos, Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe.
Well, I think there's every chance that this could happen, because I think that ultimately our members, Reform members and Restore members, do basically agree on 90+% of issues. I think the 5 principles or policies, as you say, that we laid out are things that all Reform voters could get behind. And so the question really is, does Reform have the will, the steel, to actually embrace these policies and principles that we feel are essential to restoring the nation?
Do you think it's a bit rich, though? I mean, you've got Reform, interestingly, a new YouGov poll today we've been talking about has just put Reform inching just back ahead of Labour. It's all within the margin of error. But, Reform on 23%, they've been at a much higher mark before. Your party's on 4%, yet you performed better in the local by-elections lately and indeed the mayoralty in Manchester. But, you are a minnow in terms of membership, in terms of mass appeal, in terms of name recognition, even if you're leader, when it comes to Reform and Nigel Farage. Why do you think it's appropriate for, Rupert Lowe to think that he can call the shots?
Well, Julia, that YouGov poll that was out today did not actually prompt Restore Britain. So that 4% who are polling for us have gone out of their way to name us as the party that they are supporting, which demonstrates a certain level of enthusiasm. Base. And as you say, we have been doing increasingly well in recent by-elections. And if Andy Burnham keeps his word, there won't be a general election for a number of years. And a great deal can happen in that time. Okay. And as more members of the public get to learn our platform and indeed our leader Rupert Lowe, more and more are coming on board. And that I see no reason to think that will stop, because the agenda that we're offering, the agenda that we have extended to Reform, is the one that the British people want and the one that the country needs.
Right.
What actually happened here is telling. Every time Charlie tried to dress up his argument as being about integration or shared values, Julia kept pulling him back to the same question. Why does it keep coming back to skin color and birth rates by ethnicity? He never really answered it. That's the real story behind this clip, not the political drama between Reform and Restore Britain, but what got exposed underneath it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.